Hey, good afternoon or good morning. It depends on where you live in this great land of ours. It's the Automotive Aftermarket Podcast Pioneer, Carm Capriato, and another Aftermarket Weekly with two great guest hosts that are going to be here with us. You know, we offer great aftermarket insights, and it's not just from me, it's from everyone who we have on these great shows of ours. We've been so busy lately producing some great content that I do want to share with you in just a little bit. But as you always have come to know, Aftermarket Weekly, educational, informative, and illuminating. And plus, the big bonus is we get a chance to look inside of one of your peers' shops. And that is just a cool thing. Who's with me today is Aaron Woods in the guest host seat. And that means that he's going to just bring a little bit of business acumen, an idea or two, something's going on in his mind to you. And our tour is from Emily Chung, Auto Niche, out in Markham, Ontario, Canada, just north of me, maybe 90 miles. Hi, Emily.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
Oh, glad to have you here. We're going to give you a quick picture of the front of Emily's shop, and she is going to impress upon you later how much competition she has. If you think you have competition, wait till you see how Emily presents this to you. Hey, if you're with us at all in social media, give us a like, check in with your city. We can see the comments here in the studio. Share this, please. It would be great. We're on, you name the social media site. We're coming to you live from the Dorman OE Fix studio, and we just have so damn much fun. Thanks to Dorman for bringing this show to you. Hey guys, how's business, Aaron?
We are just, absolutely covered up. I know I probably share the same sentiment as everybody else. We need more help.
It's good to hear, and I continue to hear that from everyone. And let's not lose what we have. I mean, I think the key is to keep everything that we have a chance to work on. Emily, how's business up in Canada?
We're actually doing pretty good. We're just coming out of our long weekend here, so back to work. But yeah, getting cars ready for road trips, that kind of thing. And plus, our province just finally opened up again to the next stage, and so I think people are easing off on the restrictions. So people are starting to travel a bit more and go out to see real live people. It's a strange feeling.
Yeah,
Never thought we would
Canada,
say that.
So weird.
to go see real live people. Wow.
I know.
Interesting since I am bordered to Canada here in Buffalo. Did they open up the border yet? I haven't been paying attention.
I don't think so. The last that
Yeah.
I heard, it was at least for the American side, only citizens can go across still, so non-essential travels. Yeah.
Amazing, guys. Life around our great world of ours. Hey, I want to give you a little bit of background and insight on Dorman. Dorman Products has become an incredible engine for innovation. They are constantly bringing new replacement parts to the automotive industry, and they routinely release tens of thousands of parts across all different categories. Now, why do they do all of this? To enable technicians the freedom to fix their customers' cars and trucks. To do this, Dorman has dedicated teams focused on different aspects of the vehicle to ensure that they are meeting the needs of the aftermarket. Although a lot of their parts are reverse engineering of original equipment, they also redesign and redefine solutions such as their loaded knuckles or programmable electronic power steering rack. Dorman has invested in these OE Fix innovations to help you save time, your customer money, and prevent vehicles from coming back to your shop. In certain cases, Dorman will manufacture aftermarket replacements so you aren't forced to go back to the OE. Hey, want to know more about Dorman? Visit dormanproducts.com/tour. Hey, thank you so much to Dorman. This is so much fun doing this show on a weekly basis. It kind of reckons me back to some of the TV magazine shows that we used to watch when we were younger, or automotive aftermarket based. So glad to have you here. You could always watch this later. I'll tell you where you can watch this later. I got a cool trivia for everyone for this week. The Peanuts characters were first animated in 1960 for what automotive brand? This is really cool, and I've got a comment from Charles Schultz, who, of course, created that genius set of characters, the Peanuts characters, and who could go into Christmas without watching the Peanuts Christmas, all that great music. Remember that? Hey, my guests, just go to my website, type in Aaron Woods or Emily Chung in the search bar. You could put that in quotes too. That would be kind of neat, and you'll find any episodes that they've done. Aaron is kind of new, a new voice to the podcast. We welcome him, and Emily is a good old established alumni with some really, really great content. So we thank both of you for that. Connect with us on any kind of app all over the place. We're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and catch us on Twitter. We have been super busy with shows. All I want to do is give you a quick highlight here. A great episode came out today. This is so much fun to listen to. We called it Unstoppable. Amy and Kelly Michael. It is so much fun, this episode. You'll find out that they're musicians that ended up getting into the automotive service business. Of course, an outstanding episode with the crew from Dynamic Automotive. We did a Carmcast last week. If you're going to ASTE, the Southeast, the largest automotive training and tech expo, and a really cool episode on must-have qualities of a service advisor. You're gonna learn a ton from that episode. So, Aaron, let's nail it, baby. Let's get right into profit hacks and give us some shrewd advantages from your perspective.
Yeah, so I've kind of put together a few quick things, thinking a little bit outside of the box. I think oftentimes we as shop owners, and I've been guilty of this myself, is when we think about increasing that bottom line, the first thing that comes to mind is increasing labor rates and increasing parts matrices and things like that, which sometimes those things are needed. But a few things to kind of look internally that I've come up with in order to increase that bottom line. Of course, I think the industry rule of thumb usually is about a 15 to 20% net bottom line profit. And so the first thing that I've kind of come up with and wanted to talk about, and I think the industry as a whole is heading this direction with more of the digital age, is are we having our technicians physically clock in and clock out on the jobs that they're performing? What this is going to be helping, or at least for my shop, what this helps me track is each month, I want to see are our technicians physically working on cars at a minimum of 85% of the time that they're available. I think when it comes to addressing any type of leakage that we have in our system, we first have to be able to track those numbers so that we can, adjust from there. And so, are our technicians, are we waiting on parts? Do we have a bottleneck at the service counter? What is preventing our technicians, which are the lifeblood of our business? This is where revenue is generated, is labor dollars being sold and labor hours being billed, is we want to make sure that we keep our technicians working on vehicles.
So I have a question, and Emily,
Mhm.
chime in anytime, okay? But what I find this is a very important part of shop proficiency, and I think of compliance. How do you sell the technician team, to make sure they're clocking on everything? So as you said earlier, we can find the bottlenecks, because they may not be busy enough because we're waiting on parts, and they say, "Oh, I don't have time to clock in, clock out." Have you ever heard that?
I mean, the thing about what Aaron said about now that we're in a digital age is that there's so many easier ways to do it. It's not like, back in the day where the tech has to go somewhere else to clock in, or like, the old school physical clock, whatever you call those things. And now, like even at our shop, they are all on the tablets.
Mhm.
Integrated into the shop management software. It literally is, just and it's right on the work order. Like there's just so many different things that they've done to make it easier so that they've addressed that, I guess, hang up or that barrier for the technicians. So definitely it's doable. I think it's just getting the buy-in, then a mindset change really is what it is.
Agree with that, Aaron?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Whenever we first started kind of rolling out this format, we had a little bit of that hesitancy when it came to clocking on the jobs, and I think it's important for us as owners is to put ourselves in their position and say, well, as a technician, what's the benefit? Where's the value in this for me? And so I think if we break it down, I mean, we could talk flat rate or hourly, but I'm sure most shops, however they pay their technicians, have some sort of bonus systems and structures in place into these pay plans for performance. And if not, then I would encourage that to be as there as well. But so how we did it at our shop is we broke it down and I said, well, how, why are we doing this? And one of my technicians said, "Oh, because you want to see if we're taking too long on a water pump job." And I said, "No, that's actually not the case." And we broke it down to say, "How do you generate income? You generate income by working on cars. So how can we make sure that you are working on cars as much time as possible and being able to diagnose any potential problems that we have in the shop?" And it may not be the technician. It may be a bottleneck at the front counter at the service advisors getting approvals. We may have an issue with the parts vendors getting these parts to our technicians in a timely fashion. So in order to get these the buy-in from the technicians, I think it's important to break it down to see if you improve your technician productivity in the shop, or as we do as a whole, this is how you are going to benefit from that. And I think if we have a pay plan in place that rewards and incentivizes their increased production, like Emily said, the programs that we have nowadays, it's super easy to clock in and clock off. And so the system is there in place. Once you match the system with the buy-in, I think it works for itself.
That's so cool. Thank you for that. What else you have for us?
My second thing was, and this is kind of more of an ownership thing. I read Profit First by Mike McAllowitz a while back, and one of his ideas that he had in his book, and I thought was a great idea, is how many times as owners, and really in your personal life, do you have all of these charges that are that are accrued on these debit cards and credit cards, that everything from a membership to a certain thing to all these auto renewals that we sign things up and then we just absolutely forget about. And so one of the things Mike talks about in his book is actually every year canceling your debit card and getting a new debit card number. And so that all of these auto drafts that have been, really just leaking your bank account for the past 5 years start emailing you and calling you, wanting you to sign back up. And at that point, you can start vetting, hey, do I really need that service any longer? Is this something that is important to my business operations? And whenever I started doing that, I realized that I had close to $1,000 a month in charges that were coming through on my bank account and my credit cards that I I just didn't pay much attention to. So
Wow, that's
I
a
thought
big
that was
number.
something that was a good one.
That's a big number. Man, and that's a great idea and so true. We're in email torment and all these emails come in and all of a sudden there's that charge this year. By the way, your membership is renewing. Ah, next year I'll cancel it.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Next year I'll cancel it.
Yeah. It's easy to lose track, right? To your point, it's like, if you were hit with $1,000 charge every month, you would know that right away. It's the little by little,
Yep.
and then it adds up, and then it's all of a sudden the $1,000. Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy whenever we did it. It was just it was an eye opener. And so by once a year by getting a different card number, you're almost re-vetting every single one of your vendors and saying, do I need this?
Mhm.
And I think unless, because we get so mixed up with the day-to-day operations, and, I'm guilty of it myself, where I see a $17 charge come through on my credit card for something, and I know I don't need it, but you think about it, well, that $17 just isn't so much worth my time of the calling this vendor and the hassle that you have to go through in order to erase it. But then whenever you start looking back over the course of a month, how many of those $17 charges are happening? And so it's I think it's a great, Mike McAllowitz brought it up. I did it. I would encourage every shop owner out there to do it at least once a year.
Super cool. Thank you for that. Two great ideas, time tracking and cancel that debit card. Wow. You just made tons of money for the industry with those two great ideas. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Hey, tomorrow I'm doing a real special Carmcast. It's with the leaders and the founders of Breaks for Breasts. $1.1 million in the last 11 years they've raised for breast cancer vaccine research. Tomorrow, we're going to have, by the way, they're in bedside trials with the vaccine, and we're going to have the leader of this, Dr. Tui, on from the Cleveland Clinic. So join us, get immersed in tomorrow as we speak to a kind of telethon to get you involved and engaged in Breaks for Breasts. Hey, coming up this Friday, Town Hall Academy, second in command, a COO's perspective. Now, we call them general managers, we call them chief operating officers, but there is a trend in the larger companies where the owner wants to work more on his business than in it to find a good number two. We're going to talk about that on Friday. And I am so thankful that we're about ready to see the shop tour at Emily's. Well, Emily, while we set up the video, share this incredible map.
So I'm located in Markham, Ontario, which is about 30 minutes or so from Toronto, if you guys recognize that big city. And how they do it in Markham is they basically have clustered automotive into different parts of this of Markham. So aside from myself, you'll see another cluster, elsewhere in Markham. That's kind of like this, maybe not as big of a crazy zoo as we are. So I am in the bottom right unit, and so you see Auto Niche with the red location. Whatever you call those things. And I'm in a unit that is, I think there's about 8 or 9 of us in this building. Now, every building that you see next to me also has its own um, automotive repairs. So it's either, mechanical, or it's collision, or it's something to do with auto. Now, not every single unit is auto, but really in my immediate driving radius, there's probably about 100 shops.
Wow.
If you go to the left side, the top left, you'll see Fans Auto. Like that building has probably got, I don't know, maybe let's say 10 units. All the little cars that you see parked around there, those are all individual businesses, individual units. And so it gets to be a little bit of a crazy zoo where I am.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Lots of competition. Lots of competition. Well, you've survived. I mean, that's the great story here. Is you are running a successful business on top of all that competition. Let's see your place.
okay. So this is the frontage. We are again, the middle unit of, I think there's 8 or 9 of us here. And then that is the front of the shop. So I'm in I think we've got 5 bays, 4,000 square feet shop. My previous shop was just up the street at, I think, half the size, 2,000 square feet, 3 bays. And at that time, we only had, 5 parking spots. So as you all know, as a shop, parking spots are very valuable. Here we have unlimited parking. We do the motor vehicle inspections for the province here too. So we have lots of windows. So I just decided to, put some signage on and that's off the main strip too. So you see picture of Paul and I there, and then our 3 pillars for our service. And then here is the reception area. Now it's a little bit modified because of COVID. We really don't have any waiters anymore. Josh is sitting there behind the counter. And previously, right where the tires were, that was the desk for people to, open up their laptops and do some work with us. We do the alligators at our shop, so we put that up there too. Now, this is the code of the West. It's not something that I made up. It's a code that is out there. We just modified it for our shop. It really does speak to the values that I have as a business owner, and we have this here. We also have it inside. You'll see it a bit later. But basically, code of the West is these 10 different codes. We live each day with courage, take pride in our work. We always finish what we start, do what has to be done. We're tough but fair. When we make a promise, we keep it. We ride for the brand. We talk less, say more. That's always a good one. Remember that some things aren't for sale, and we know where to draw the line. So everybody that comes into our shop can see that code, and they understand, these are the values that we have. This is a little waiting area. There used to be a little like kids section in the back too, before COVID, obviously. And here, a lot of clients, they can look into the shop. Now, let's see, where am I going with this? Right. Here we got free Wi-Fi. We've got fridge. They can take, drinks out of there. And then the washroom is right there too. We had this cute sign made for the washroom. When you gotta go, you gotta go.
Stop the video right here. I love the fact that you have a sign on the restroom, and it's not, it just doesn't say restroom. I also, Emily, like the idea that you put a sign, as we have done how many 60 some shop tours. I have never seen a sign on the refrigerator where the waters or Cokes would be, for example, that say help yourself. I have been to a place, glass refrigerator, and people go up to the counter and says, how much for a Pepsi or how much for a water? And the service manager says, they're free.
Yeah.
But there's no sign that says that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I give you a lot of credit for saying, help yourself, they're for you.
And actually, Josh, now, before the clients leave, that he'll offer them, water for the road. This is our washroom. There's a change table for the kid, for babies. It was really important to me to have a clean washroom.
Yeah, I imagine. Who cleans that every day?
The advisor does, actually.
Okay.
Yep, Josh, he's right there. So he's very good taking care of that for us. And it is really important for us to have that, the cleanliness, right? Because it speaks to how we are with our cars. This is a bit of the crazy that goes behind the counters, as I'm sure some of you guys are familiar with. And then here is actually our shop. So um, before I got into this unit, it actually was like an office space they had service trucks in the back. So that's why you'll see some of the tile, right, on part of the shop floor.
Sure.
So when we moved
Sure.
in, we decided, let's just try to keep the tile. So it's definitely something that's different about our shop. It just kind of, it makes it look a little bit different. The guys do a great job of keeping it clean because it's definitely something that we got to continuously clean with the tiles and the grout. So here are all the lifts that we have. Like I said, it's a 5-bay shop.
Do you have a
Um,
specialty? Is it Asian? Is it Euro?
we don't have a particular specialty. We do emphasize a little bit more that we do hybrids and EV service now.
Okay.
But in terms of our clientele, it's a lot of Asian cars just in the area that I'm in, as
Okay.
well as European cars too.
And how many
So
lifts altogether?
5. So including the drive on there with the aligner at the back. Those are my 2 techs over there by the bench. Um, and then obviously, storage stuff. I mean, there's never a shortage of things that you need to put away. There's our
Very
tire
true.
machines. Yeah, it's amazing. You move into the space, it's double our size, and I'm thinking, first of all, I'm thinking I don't even know how I survived in the other one because it was so small. And then now it's like, oh, we have lots of space, and then before you know it, it's like everything's taken up.
So
Tire
what's
space.
stop the video for a moment because I want to make sure that on there is the tire equipment. It's amazing. We did a video tour a couple of weeks ago, and he says, "Oh, we don't do tires." And I'm a big proponent of tires. You go to anywhere in Canada, if you don't do tires, you don't do business. Am I right?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we have like the winters and the spring.
Yeah.
So we do tire changes here, and it's just part of what we do.
Yeah.
Um,
But do
I
you
will
sell
say,
a lot of tires?
we do. We're actually starting to sell more and more, but that's something that's an area of my business that I'm really trying to grow as well. And we definitely do the tire services, right? So tire changeovers, all that. Now the tire machines are older. For me, it's sort of, I have X amount of dollars. What am I going to spend it in? So right now we're making more of a push for diagnostic tools and then getting into the EVs. I'll be putting in a charging station in the next month or so. But you know
Excellent.
what? The tire machines, I always say this, they work. They're good. So
Yep. Yep.
it's old school here. No hydraulic, nothing. This
Such
is
a
a
such a great retention tool too.
yeah, yeah, it is for customers for sure. Now up there before when the video was paused, right there up the top, that's where we keep our tires as well. So we do provide tire storage here at the shop. And then you saw all of our oils were placed there. This is the back of the shop, so the drive on is right there. Now inside, where I'm walking towards that box there, that's where the compressor is. So we just boxed it in because
Sure.
it just keeps the noise down, which is great. So the parts guys would come in through the back here. That's the parts table. They would put it there for us. Now with COVID, it's contact lens, so it's sort of they literally come, they drop it there, and then they leave. We don't even sign anything. That's the aligner machine as well. And I think yes. So here we have the Autel that we're running on. We also have the Autologic. We have a couple other scanners, and I'm sure all shop owners, you guys have a few. There's not one that can do everything. We're still
Are
waiting
you
for
doing
that.
DVI?
Yeah, we are doing digital vehicle inspections, and that's also shown right on the front of our shop that that's something that we do.
Yeah.
Um,
Tablets or phones? What are you using?
we use tablets.
Okay.
I actually, Tracy, if you want to pause the video for a sec, I have a rule at my shop: no cell phones. I know it's super archaic, super old school. For me, I don't. So none of my staff have their cell phones with them, and it's understood at the beginning when we do the hiring. It's a safety thing. I don't need somebody to be in the middle of, a diag job or a safety job and have the phone ping and they're, thinking about that and getting distracted. And obviously there's exceptions, right? Like if they know that they've got a call or they got something important, of course they can keep it. But we just, as a rule, we don't use cell phones here at the shop. It's just a choice that we decided to make.
Okay.
This is the washroom. It was already now a lot of this was already done before I walked in, so it's great. We didn't have to renovate this part. So this is a staff washroom, lockers. It's got a shower in case I jokingly say in case my guys have like a hot date after work they need to get to. And then yeah, like this is already here, so that was the blessing really. So right where you see the concrete, where that part is, there used to be a wall there that would separate, the office space from the shop space. Um, and then you can definitely see some of the cracks in the tiles. So the guys do try to do as best as they can. And then we'll head up to, I think the lunchroom is next. So again, this was already here before I got here, so that was a blessing. So nice big area. So that's where their laptops are for, clocking in and out. They could take it with them to the bench if they wanted to. They don't usually though. They also come in like Mitchell and all data and all that is on there too for them to read up on their service manuals. That is the office I'm currently sitting in.
That's your space. Okay,
Post-it
good.
notes galore. I love the person who invented post-it notes.
You
Those
seem
are
to
your
have an
best
awful
friend.
lot stuffed in a very narrow space. Wow.
Yes, yeah. And actually, my administrator sits with me in that office too. So there's a couple of us. There's a code of the West again. Torque specs for the guys if they, don't want to look at it on their tablet. And yeah, so this is the shop. I think there's going to be. I'll be showing you guys these buttons that we have at the hoists.
Yeah, let's look at those.
So we got this idea from restaurants in our area, and yeah, great. So there are these buttons that Josh has. You'll see it later. He has one at his. He has a display at his counter. Now the middle one is for call. The one to the right is inspection, and basically each hoist has its own dedicated number. So hoist number 1 would be this one. And if my technician wants to talk to the advisor, he'll press call. Then the advisor gets a signal at the counter that okay, he needs to go in and talk to him. When the digital inspection is done, they'll press that inspection button. It'll come up again at the front counter for the advisor, and he'll know to check that inspection. So it really is just, one way for my guys to connect with the advisor without, going up there, and it saves us a bit of time. Also, when the client's in there, I don't know if you guys have ever had the experience, but sometimes the client's sitting there and then the tech walks in and they're all like getting anxious and they must be talking about my car, right? So it's a subtle way to, pull the advisor back. And then you'll see the display that shows up here for him. So it's in the middle, and when you press a button, it'll flash, 1, and then it'll flash the code numbers that we have assigned. And again, we got this from the restaurant industry. A lot of them have the
That's
buttons that
great.
they push, and it's like, ask the waiter to come, or give me the bill, that kind of thing. So we just
Well,
decided
there
to
you
use that.
go. There you go with the biggest problem we have in any business, especially ours, is communication.
And like I said, it's just a really subtle way for us to have them communicate, right? Without, again, it was, yeah, without them actually needing to walk up front and then, maybe kind of give the customer one more reason to be anxious. I don't know. So,
Excellent.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you
our
saved the
challenge.
best for last.
The call button.
Yeah.
It's definitely different. And again, I think I mean, we're in the business where there's lots of other industries that do things really well. So why not take some of their ideas and, see if we can make it work here?
Totally agree. Steal
Yeah,
shamelessly, right?
shamelessly, totally.
Steal shamelessly, make it your idea, improve upon it. And, that's what the industry, well, I don't want to share my secrets with you. There are no secrets. There are just great ideas, and you make them your own. You put your idea, your culture, you put it inside your business, and you embrace it, and it becomes your own, and your business gets better for it.
Yeah, yeah.
Why reinvent something when Emily's already invented it?
And then one more point about the competition stuff that we were talking about earlier. The reality is that, we're really good friends with a lot of these shops nearby. So one benefit to being with a bunch of other shops is, like I said, you can't have every single tool in the market. So we do share a lot of, tools, information with each other. And then at the same time, just, I mean, I've been in business for over 13 years now, and just having a different mindset about what does competition really mean to me? And, are these really all sort of who I see as competitors? And, I have more empathy for the consumer. I mean, imagine driving into this area and, looking for, I mean, an alternator and like, where do you go? I mean, it's just so crazy
Hmm.
dense. So I definitely have more empathy for them as well.
Well, thank you again so much. I would love to encourage you all to listen to a great episode that Emily and I did. We called it What My Dad Taught Me, and it released right around Father's Day.
Oh, that was
And
awesome.
yeah, there's some really cool behind the scenes secrets in there about what Emily's dad does in the industry. And I'll just leave that as a hanger. Hey, don't forget, we repurposed the podcast. It's available on YouTube right now. We'll put it out as a podcast on Saturday morning, and you could listen to this thing on your most favorite podcast listening app. Let's do the trivia, everyone. The Peanuts characters were first animated in 1960 for what automotive brand? Well, here's your answer. 1960 Ford. Uh, Schultz animated television spots featuring the characters used to promote the Ford Falcon from January 1960 to 1964. Now, Schultz says uh, he cited the Ford campaign as the first time where licensing the characters earned him a lot of money. However, he expressed a dislike of illustrating the adverts, describing it as hard work, and he would have preferred just to dedicate equivalent effort to drawing the Sunday comic strips. But there again, there's a guy who went into the licensing business. 1960 Ford Fairlane. Interesting. I don't remember those commercials. I'm sorry, I don't. I was super young then. Okay. Next week, Brittany Schindler is going to be my guest host from Rod's Japanese Auto Care, Bellingham, Washington. And we're going to see the inside of Atlantic Motor Car with Bruce Howes next week. Hey, grateful for both of you to be here. Thank you so much for, another Aftermarket Weekly in the record books. If you'd love us to tour your shop or to be a guest host, carm@remarkableresults.biz. Hey, thanks everyone for being here. Have a great week.